And they also make me apply it. And I might, if I ever met Donald Fagen one day of Steely Dan, I might go, man, I know what you were talking about in Haitian Divorce or something like that. And he probably would never tell me what he really meant because he wants it to be special to me.
I see, right.
You know what I'm saying? He wants me to have, and that's what I want to do with our music. I know what they mean. I know what the lyrics mean. Millard and I talked about them, when we were writing them, so in depth. And we didn't want to spell it out and be too literal with the lyrics, because if you're too literal, then it's spelled out. There's no guesswork involved. There's no fun for the listener to apply it to their lives. So Steely Dan from that element, and the let's see. I said Queen. I would say Queen melodically and vocally from an element, and Todd Rundgren. Throw a little bit in there. There's so many groups that we listen to that I'm trying to narrow it down for you. Of course, XTC. I mean, they can't. We could not do this interview without mentioning them. Millard. The first thing that Millard and I ever, when we got together, and I said, what do you like? He goes, I like XTC, and I go, man, I've got every record he goes, I've got every record they ever made. So of course, those guys wrote the book.
What like XTC are you talking about? What period? Because they went through maybe have been through 2 or 3 different periods.
Right. I love funk papa roll. Off of was that white music?
Big Express.
Thank you, man. You're awesome, dude. Well, rock on.
I'm also an XTC guy.
Right. I love Big Express. That's a big one of mine. Also, I like Skylarking. Millard is more of an English settlement kind of guy,
Right. Yeah, that's what I was referring to, yeah.
But man, Skylarking would definitely have to be my favorite because it's, I don't know, because of Rundgren and that whole thing and the cellos and the pop sensibility of it. It's almost like you could squeeze it on the radio, maybe kind of sideways, and I love that daringness. And that's what I love about Steely Dan, Steve, is that they made great music for musicians, but they also made music for people that were just normal, that didn't know anything about music. And to me, that you scored the highest honor when you can do that. When you can please the smart people and please the not so smart people.
Right. It can be all things to all people.
All things to all people, man. That is the most beautiful kind of music that you can make. Anyway,
how about the Beatles? Were there any very significant?
Later in my life, my mother played it when I was crawling around as a kid on the floor. She played Abbey Road every day. But I feel like, of course, I know every single Beatles song.
Right.
I can sit there on the guitar and go through album after album, and Rubber Soul and Revolver are probably my 2 favorites. But then to say that Sgt. Pepper, my gosh, Sgt. Pepper was a landmark. I love them all.
Right.
What's not to love?
And you had Zak Starkey playing as an additional musician on the album, right?
Yes, that was kind of Millard and I heard that Zach was really great through a friend named Henry Gross, and actually Henry Gross had a #1 song in 1976 called Shannon.
I own a Henry Gross album,
Henry Gross lives about 5 houses down from me.
You're kidding?
No.
What was the album of his I had? There was before he had...
Plug Me Into Something?
Plug Me Into Something, exactly.
Right.
I bought that album when I was a kid.
Henry lives 5 houses down.
Ah, you're kidding. I love it.
He is the nicest guy, man, and the greatest musician. And I was sitting in his house having coffee one day, and he goes, "What are you guys going to do for a drummer?" And I'm like, man, I wish I could find, some young cat that's never, it's not, I don't want a session guy. I want somebody that's got something to prove. That's got some piss and vinegar, in them. And he goes, well, man, I hear Ringo Starr's son is great. I said, yeah, fat chance we could get Ringo Starr's son. He goes, Zak Starkey's supposed to be unbelievable.
Really?
So I said, really? Yeah, I said the same thing, really. So I talked to my A&R guy, John Kolodner, out at Geffen Records in L.A., and he goes, have you found a drummer in Nashville? I said, no, but my friend says Zak Starkey's really great. I said, but I know there's probably no way to get Zak to play on our record. And John goes, I know Zak. I've been friends with Zak for years. Let me send him one of your demo tapes. And we sent Zak a demo tape, and the next thing you know, they called me back from Geffen going, Zach's going to fly to Nashville to meet you guys. And Zach ended up sleeping on my futon for like 5 months, and we rehearsed every day and played gigs around, and then we made a record together.
Wow. How do you like that?
Man, he's a great guy, man. Zach is I mean, that was like half the fun, was just have his personality, not Ringo Starr's son and stuff. That faded away, you know. After like, wow, your dad's Ringo Starr. Okay, after that faded away. He's a great guy, man, and and just a great drummer, man. The dude hits the drums so freaking hard. And anyway, it just worked out, personality-wise, drumming-wise. Steve, could you hold on a second?
Sure, no problem.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So he must have had a lot of time on his hands to spend 5 months on your futon.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was between gigs, and I think that Miller and I really wanted to make sure that it was right. So, we ended up hanging out a lot and working in the studio together and putting him in a studio position, because when we went out to L.A., man, it was the real thing. There was no time to say, well, what if you try this, or nothing like that. Man, we wanted to know what we were doing, because we didn't want to waste time, because we had a lot of ground to cover. So we rehearsed him a lot. Just live, in a live jamming 3-piece band form, and in the studio, on tape, with a click, without a click, with a fat snare, with a high-pitched snare, with headphones, without headphones, overdubbing, and in live. We just wanted to put him in every situation to see if he could cut it,
And you were, the material you were playing with him was already all written up. It wasn't like you were writing material after you had started collaborating with him?
No, we just kind of showed him, look, this is the stuff that we've done, and here are our demos, and this is what we like about our demos. This is what we don't like. Hey, could you try this, and could you try that? We did all that during that, like, 5-month period. So that when we went out to L.A., we were, like I said, we weren't trying like.
The interviewer here, the guy that set up the questions, was mentioning what you referred to as the daringness of some of the musicians and groups that have inspired you, and he was talking about like Andy Partridge doing dub albums. Todd Rundgren doing interactive CD stuff for an album of nothing but a cappella material. How about in your case? Do you are you more concerned with the you talked about wanting to be all things to all listeners. Do you have you shelved the idea of experimentalness or daringness in favor of that sort of universal approach, pleasing all people?
No, I don't mean pleasing all people. I just mean to our fans, our lyrics having a special meaning to them. You know what I mean? I don't want to be all things to all people. I think like the Beatles were all things to all people. Whether you were 3 years old or 73 years old, you could find one Beatles song that would please almost any person in that age bracket. I don't think that we could be that. I think that we are going to be for a specific kind of person, that has a. No, I'm not opposed to any kind of daringness, and I've got no kind of. I'm not set in my ways on any kind of. Like I said, I'm not set in my ways. Like I'm not willing to try something, man. I'm willing to try anything, and I totally dig the Todd Rundgren interactive thing. And I've got the acapella Todd Rundgren record. I love it, and we've even dabbled with some of that. I've dabbled with some of that stuff by myself in the studio. I've got a song called Anything at All. It's nothing but acapella vocals. So I'm, is that answering your question?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think what the guy had listened to your CD and thought that it's not quite as experimental as some of the artists that you mentioned have been in the past. But then again, it's kind of hard to glean that side from a band that only has one album.
Right.
So maybe you jump to conclusions here.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
We took what we loved from those artists. That might answer your question a little bit better.